I think most people's concerns are, oh, there's going to be some supreme AI that's going to sort of render human beings completely obsolete, and that could
Right.
happen. I
This
think
idea
in
of
the long term,
singularity.
yeah, I think in the long term that's a very valid concern. In the shorter term, in the midterm, I'm very concerned about just how many jobs are going to be replaced.
Mm,
How many people are, if you were to make, I don't know, if you were to make 1 billion or 2 billion people who are alive right now unemployed, right? What does that mean? Not just financially and economically, but what does it mean in terms of their mental well-being and their sense? We already have a lack of purpose and meaning in our society, right? If all of a sudden all these people are rendered obsolete, because some people are like, oh, well, we could just have a universal basic income and there'll just be abundance because
yeah.
everyone will just have. I'm like, dude,
Such a
what are people
crazy
going to do with?
thought.
Yeah, I'm like, what's everyone going to do with an additional 7, 8, 9, 10 hours per day? It's not like everyone's a musician or an artist or a painter. It's like, what are they going to do with all that time? Like, what's gonna if you disconnect money from labor? To some people, that sounds great. Yay, like free money, money for nothing. But it's like a lot of the purpose and meaning that we have is the fact that we work to earn our living, right? If someone was just like, okay, Ryan, you just sit at home and do nothing, and we're just gonna equal however much money you're making now, we're just gonna give that to you. It's just gonna come from the government. Your sense of meaning and purpose and manhood and being a useful human being is going to be incinerated. So if you took that across like millions, billions, and billions of people, um, I'm not optimistic about what that does. We already have a crisis of meaning. And so for the first time in human history, tell all these people like they don't have to work. I mean, it was tried during 2020 to 2021 where they locked people down and they were kind of floating money to a lot of people and whatever. Like, did people get happier? Were people more
Yeah.
connected? Was all this amazing art being created? No, actually, quite the opposite. So that's one of my concerns. And then a more immediate concern, and I don't know why more people aren't talking about this, is just the fact that for the first time in human history, you won't be able to know what is real and what is not.
Yes. That's the
You
problem
won't
to
be able
me.
to. Dude, have you seen some of the there's now this thing where so this podcast we are doing right now, there's now AI that can scan this podcast and translate it into a different language, still using our voices. So it'll still sound like me, it'll still sound like you, but now we're talking in Arabic. But now we're talking in Spanish. Now we're talking in French. And this is just sort of out there. And I'm like, okay, if you've got this sort of available publicly, what do you have in the what do you have in the
Oh
archives, right?
yeah.
If this is the consumer level tech, then or I don't know if you saw it was going viral the other day. There was this video and it had looked like a place, it looked like a city that had kind of been leveled, and there was like a car burning,
Right, burning.
and
And it was fake.
yeah, and it was all just created in an Unreal Engine. And this is what I mean. So when it comes to audio, when it comes to photo, when it comes to video, like you could get a call and you think one of your kids is on the phone and it could be an AI. Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
what about like political, like on the political level, on the foreign? I'm just like, that's very scary when you can just replicate someone's voice to make them say something they're not saying, or you can take their likeness. They're now doing this in Hollywood, aren't they? Right? They want to sort of capture extras and get to a point where you can just have people in the movie without them actually being in the movie. You've just captured
Yeah.
their likeness and their
That
movements,
ought to go
and now
over
you can
well
just
with why can't I think of the term with the holy cow labor I can't even think of the term. This is crazy.
like the labor unions.
Well, the
You
unions,
mean
thank
sort of?
you. Why I don't know why I
Yeah.
couldn't think of the word union, but yeah, this is
Yeah.
what
Well.
they're not going to allow that to happen. We know
Yeah.
that.
Well. That's why they've been on strike for months.
Right, exactly.
That's a big reason. That's one of the major reasons is concerns about artificial intelligence and the way that's all
Right.
going to be used. So those are my concerns. I don't know. I feel like I think that a lot of people aren't quite thinking through some of the repercussions of the speed of this technology moving because I mean, we haven't even had smartphones and social media in the way that we do now for up to 20 years. The first iPhone
Hmm.
was what, 2006, I believe. So it's not hasn't even been 20 years. And we have absolutely not mastered that yet. Right? We have not mastered smartphone usage and social media usage and tempering it all and not allowing it to mess up people's mental well-being or, like people don't know how to deal with this. People are hopelessly addicted to their phones. They're getting played by algorithms. They're believing stuff that's not true. They're getting pushed into all sorts of madness and insanity. Young women are becoming depressed because they're seeing all these filtered photos and they're comparing themselves to
Hmm.
fake images of people, and boys and young men have infinite access to pornography and all this madness and craziness, and it's like we haven't mastered that one, and now immediately like you're bringing in a whole new wave of stuff, and then you're going to bring in robotics, and I'm just like, man, I know we're not going to slow down,
No, of
but
course not.
but we're very sort of quickly hurtling into this brave new world, which is going to come a lot faster than people think. You were just talking about 1999, 24 years ago. Fast forward 24 years from now, the gap between 99 and now is going to pale in comparison with the gap between now and say, 2048 or 2050 or whatever it is. And we just yeah, I just think we don't know what that's going to look like, the impact it's going to have overall on humanity. I hope that I'm a natural optimist, so I hope and think that we'll somehow work this out. But I think it's better to be prepared than to be sort of caught unaware.
Yeah, I think being aware. I was looking at something, I was typing something. There's Moore's law, and I don't know the exact law, but it talks about how quickly technology will double. And so we're seeing that. You talk about 24 years will now become 12 years, which will become 6 years, 3 years, a year and a half. And so the technology doubles that quickly and it's exponential. So we haven't
Yeah.
seen anything yet. The one thing I'm actually concerned about, specifically with regards to AI, is you have this conflict between Israel and Palestine. I don't know. Like, I know what I hear. I know resources that I go to that I trust. But at the end of the day, I don't really know what's true, what's not, what's the full story, what's propaganda, what's fake audio, what's fake reporting. I mean, this has been going
Mhm.
on throughout human history, but the speed at which it happens and the impact or the reach at which it is now is what I think becomes extremely, extremely dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's what I mean, right? So there's always been propaganda and there's fake news and there's sketchy headlines and there's bad actors who are spreading stuff that they know is not true. But imagine that, and then there's video and there's audio and so on, but you don't even know. Before you could watch a video, and unless it was like obviously fake,
Yeah, right.
you'd be like, yeah, well, this is a real video. You can't fake this. Now it's, well, if you get to a stage where you can fake anything. I mean, they now have you seen some of the AI influencers on Instagram and stuff?
No. So completely fake
Yeah.
accounts.
Yeah, so they've got
Whoa,
there's AIs on Instagram that have 100,000 plus followers.
that's
Um,
crazy.
attractive quote unquote women, for
Of course,
example,
right? Of course.
right? Because they're going to completely disrupt even the OnlyFans model and all that kind of stuff because like they can just make this AI that looks, and the thing is now, I mean, yes, with a keen eye, you can still see and look carefully and be like, okay, that's not an actual woman, but it's getting like really, really, really close. And when you've already got all these like porn-addled men out there and all these guys who are sort of checked out of the dating and the marriage market and all this, and then you just dump on them again this sort of abundance of infinite, like it is not even real. And because it's not even real, it's scalable, right? So you could have you could have this account that's got like 100,000 followers and is able to like DM all of them personally, like
Right.
at the same time, and then like monetize them and this and that. I'm just like, guys, people are gonna just fall into an abyss here. Like if people are not careful, you're gonna just have. I don't know, a large segment of the human population that's just checked out. Like they're just completely checked out. People are already worried about video games. People are already worried about social media or whatever. I'm like, dude, this is going to be 10x. It's going to be
Oh yeah.
10 times what we currently have. So if we don't learn how to manage some of these things and to talk to young men and young women and explain some of these risks and dangers and whatever, then yeah, people are just going to be totally ill-equipped for it, and it'll come and it'll blindside a lot of people and just fundamentally change a lot of human dynamics, not in a good way as far as I'm concerned.